name's Cordy, and today I've got a great calf busting exercise to really work on your legs and increase that definition in your kind of lower calf muscles. Obviously, I did a video a couple of weeks ago on how to practice the major scale, and what I suggested was practicing one position per day. So say we're in B flat, the first day you might take that first position, and what I said was practice that literal first position of the major scale but in every key, and then day 2 you would take position 2, so we'd start B flat but on a C, then take that around every key. So for instance, in B flat you'd be starting from a C, in F you'd be starting from a G. So basically over the week you'd cover all the positions of the major scale and you'd build your familiarity with the shapes, hopefully. I'm currently doing that with the melodic minor scale, but I wanted to think about what the next sort of stage would be. And so what I'm going to talk about today is some exercises that I think helped me when I was doing this. Probably be another part to this as well, because I guess there's quite a lot you can do with this. But so this is part 2 of what I'm talking about. One of the key things you could do is to play kind of connecting the shapes up. So say you've got a B flat, I've heard other people talk about this as well. Let's say start from the lowest point in the guitar, so you're not always starting from the B flat. So in B flat major, the lowest available note from B flat major on the guitar is this F, so we'll start our scale from here. Then we'll move up to the next. Then move up again. And then we are on B flat. Back to F. And I think in the middle there. I made a mistake. So, and then you could descend back and do the same thing. So you could do that in every key one day, and that would give you the entirety of the B flat major scale all over the neck and adjacent. Another thing you could do is to ascend through and then slide up, and then slide up again. And so by doing that sliding stuff, you're gonna get yourself all the way through the scale slightly quicker, but you're also thinking about a different shape descending from ascending, so that's kind of useful in a couple of different ways. You could do the same thing but kind of in reverse, so you start descending, then ascend, connecting all the shapes up in sort of one idea, I think is definitely very useful. And you might want to also consider doing this. So there's different ways you can play the major scale. So for instance, we could do it staying in the same position, where you've got kind of 2 notes on some strings and 3 on others. So we've got a B flat and a C on the E, a D and E flat and F on the A string, then a G and A and a B flat on the D string, then a C, a D and an E flat on the G string, and then an F and a G on the B string, and an A and a B flat. So you've got uneven notes, so it's definitely worth practicing that. The patterns and shapes that where you're not moving through positions as well, or not moving your hand. So if you're in a kind of 4 fret or 5 fret area, what that sounds like. So that's kind of a different approach to the 3-note per string, but it's worth definitely knowing both if you can. So consider practicing that. Move intervals through each kind of shape. So take our B flat position, the first position, so root is our starting note, and we're going to jump up in thirds through the scale. So B flat D, so you can see that that's basically making you think about notes slightly differently, and it also presents a bit of a challenge in terms of how you're going to play that fingering wise. Maybe you could do that through as many keys as you could in position 1. Then day 2, you take position 2, so we can start from the C if we're in B flat. I've just switched into one position. Day 3. So I've just done all of the positions there for the entire week, but just for B flat. So what you could do is just pick one of those per day and do each of the keys. So for instance, on the Monday you take through the circle of fifths, so the next would be an F. And the next one would be a C. Then a G. So that's basically what I would suggest could be a good next step. So the three things that I covered today: playing playing into adjacent kind of positions, but starting from the lowest note, so in B flat, B and F. Etc. And descending as well, remembering to look at that. Then also you could consider practicing playing it in like a 4-note or 5-note space, so kind of then we move to F, then C, then G, D, A, E, B, F sharp, D flat, A flat, E flat, and then back to B flat. So if I was actually practicing that, I would work on making it more even sounding and technique a bit solider, but that's basically just showing you all the way through. And then start to think about intervals, so a third, so you do that in B flat initially, then F, etc. Another thing I'm finding it's worth, if you don't have time to go through all 12 keys, perhaps consider going through the more difficult ones. So, you know, like if you're talking about F sharp or D flat, A flat, these more kind of uncommon keys that we don't necessarily focus on too much in guitar, it's maybe worth, if you can only do 4 or 5, you know, maybe move around in C, A flat, D flat, F sharp potentially, and you might find that that gives you kind of a good look at a few different places on the neck and a few different keys that some would be more common than others, but gets you a chance to look at the fretboard. So that's kind of my suggestions for kind of next stages of practicing the major scale. Hopefully that's vaguely useful and vaguely interesting. I'll put together a sheet just describing and notating each of the positions that I just showed you in B flat, but it'll be up to you to do them in every single key. So just to cap it off, we'll be doing sliding into adjacent positions of the major scale, so starting from each degree. Then we'll be doing starting from each degree but without doing 3-note per string, so it'll be, you know, 2 and 3-note, but you're going to be staying in exactly the same place on the neck instead of going across. And then intervals in each position, so moving thirds through is going to be our first one, and then probably in the next stage we'll do 4ths, 5ths and 6ths. But hopefully that's enough to get your teeth into this. As I say, maybe practice one of those aspects per day, or one position per day, and then what I'm doing is I'm doing all of the positions over the 7-day period. That's what I'm finding useful. Hopefully you do too, and if you got anything useful out of this lesson, there's a buy me a coffee link. Only use that if you can afford to. I'm out of coffee right now, I'm going to go and get another. But if you can't afford to, don't worry about doing that. The tabs for this will be on my Patreon. And also you could like and subscribe if this was useful, or leave comments below if you've got other ideas for things you want me to tackle, and I'll be happy to look at those, and hopefully I'll be able to put together something slightly helpful. But thank you for watching, and I'll catch you for another video soon. Cheers.